Good morning. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to friends in the United States. I am just checking all of the settings here, making sure everybody can see. Let's see if we can get this a little bit closer in for people. And yeah, sorry, I'm taking a moment here to get everything hopefully fixed up. Hi everybody. I'm expecting a lot of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators are still over at the live presentation happening for them, but they can always catch me on replay, as I will catch the rest of that on replay. So thanks for joining me today. I am very excited to show you this project, but I've got a couple other things to talk about first. One of them is the Double Wonder Zoom session that's happening right here. Let's see, Friday night in the US and Saturday morning here in Australia. These are the Double Wonder cards that Shannon West from Stampin' Up! Developed a template for. You use 2 half sheets of Coordinating Designer Series paper, and there's a specific template for how to cut them up, and then they wind up making 11 cards by mixing and matching the different pieces with coordinating bases. So I did with the Birthday Bonanza Designer Series paper, and here's one with the Sia Silhouette paper. You've probably been seeing these all over my blog, but they're very fun and very easy to make. You can use, if what you have is, kids construction paper and, anything you have in your stash, you can pull out and create along with us to make these. So go ahead on my nancysniftynotes.com. There's multiple postings about this. Go ahead and download the template. That will also give you a page that has the Zoom login information for it. And yeah, I can have however many people want to follow along as I want. So, or I guess up to 100, but I'd be surprised if we got anywhere near that. Anyway, it would be great to have you play along. You can prep your materials in advance. You can do all your cutting and scoring in advance if you want, or you can do it as we're creating during the session. The other thing I wanted to talk about really briefly is my upcoming kit sampler class, and this is really for folks here in Australia. I've got 4 different Stampin' Up! Kits in my hot little hands. I wanted to show you, the pictures are nice, but these are just beautiful in person. And if you are here in Australia, I'm happy to send you a kit to make these, or I can have up to 5 people in my house starting today. So I will have an in-person session for this as well. And we will observe all physical distancing and sanitation procedures to keep everybody safe if you come here in person. But if you're in Australia and you would like to participate, get a taste of these without coming, I'm happy to send you a kit. This one, I don't have the coordinating stamp set. For this card, I did a couple extra die cuts and no sentiment, and for these 2, I just used a sentiment out of my stash. So you do not have to have the coordinating stamp sets. These ones, I did use the coordinating stamp set because it's an all-inclusive kit, but again, you could use other sentiments that you've already got. But I'll send you all the pieces to put these together. They are really, really pretty. Oh, this large flower was supposed to be stamped, but I used die cuts instead. So, you know, there are workarounds, and it's fine if you don't have the stamp sets. Again, this one used the stamp set that coordinates, but you could put other stamps in instead. Oh, that one's from that first set. But I tend not to really go for the card kits, but they've gotten a lot better, and I'm really liking these 4 that I've got for this class. So just really fast here. This is the last one. Really, really pretty. If they're still available in your market, I would not hesitate to go ahead and purchase them to have in my stash, or to give as a gift for other crafters to make, or to make them and give them as gifts. I've been very impressed with them this week. Okay, moving on. So this card I saw posted on the Demonstrator Planning Place on Facebook, and thought, ooh, how fun to do. So I have made I have prepped 4. One of them I will make on camera for you, but this is, I'm hoping that this shows up well for you. It is well, this tall one is essentially 2 of these, so a double cube, but it's not cut in half. And then these, but it folds up flat. It's 5.5 inches square, not square, but you know, it's a square that's 5.5 inches. So it fits into, it does not fit into a 5.5 inch square envelope. It fits into a 6 inch square envelope. But it's got a lot of neat elements to it. So there's one that I made, and then I made another one. The actual physical card itself is quite easy to make, you'll see. It's how you decorate. It's, you know, devil's in the details, right? So it's, for this one took a long time because I did a lot of hand coloring and hand fussy cutting and layering to do that. But the card itself, and then it just sits up like that. How cool is that? And this pops out. It's just very clever. So let's get into making it. So the one thing I noticed for my American friends is, and I will put up a sheet with all of the measurements and stuff when I post this on my blog tomorrow. But these initial measurements are 11.5 by 5.5. Now, a sheet of letter cardstock is only 11 inches long. So that means you're going to have to get some 12 by 12 cardstock to make this. Fortunately, if you're using A4 cardstock, you get just a tiny little sliver to cut off to make 11.5. But it does wind up taking 2 sheets of, well, I guess it would with 12 by 12, you would use 1 and have scraps left over. But yeah. Anyhow, let me get this going here. So, cheat sheet with my measurements. So these all score at 2 3/4. I'm gonna need this open. 2 3/4. 5.5, 8 1/4, and 11. And you're going to do that on exactly the same thing on both of them. So 2 3/4, 5 1/2, 8 1/4, and 11. So basically you're dividing it into quarters, but you're leaving a 1/2 inch at the end that is, it's going to be the tab for gluing the cubes. Okay, and so to make the 2 smaller cubes, we're actually going to cut this piece in half. The person I got the YouTube video I watched to do this, she cut this in half and then scored it, but I thought, why score twice for this when we can just do that? So that's at 2 3/4. And just slice it in half, and now we have all the pieces we need. Okay. So we're going to make these into boxes, and we have these 1/2 inch tabs at the end, and we just need to miter these corners. Glad everybody could join me today. We are here in Australia, starting to ease restrictions. Unlike in the US, I'm sorry to say, for the US, we actually have scientific data that tells us that it is safe to do this. And we're taking a very slow and sensible approach. Something is not right there. I scored that one wrong. I can tell already. Yep. Okay. Cutting another piece. Ay, ay, ay. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so you'll be able to see here, 11 1/2 on an A4 sheet gives just a little sliver, and then 5 1/2. And then let's score it correctly now. 2 3/4, 5 1/2, 8 1/4, and 11. That looks better. And clipping the corners here. And if you don't know why we do this, you'll see soon. It helps make a nice, neat edge when we glue it all together. So okay, so you can use either tear and tape or liquid adhesive. Something you don't want to use snail because you want a really strong bond there. I just have this preference for liquid glue. Although on something like this, the tear and tape works well too. And you don't want to try to be matching up like this because it goes crazy. But if you just fold it over and bring this one to it, it lines up perfectly. And just hold it for a moment. And there you go. And then we're going to do the same thing with each of these. Get a little bit of liquid glue. Fold this over to match up. And done. You want to go ahead and crease all of these before you glue, so you're not putting more stress on the wet glue before you need to. It just matches up perfectly. So there we go. We've got all 3 of our structure done. That's it for the quote-unquote tough part. So now we're actually going to construct these. You'd think we would decorate first, but we're not. We're constructing first. And yes, there is a reason for that, which is my question when I was watching the video. I was like, why wouldn't you decorate first? Wouldn't that be easier? But some of it has to be done. Some of the constructing has to be done with these in place before we put some of the decorative elements on. So this is how we're doing it. And even though we're going to be covering up inside there, this tab I'm putting with that seam, I'm putting on the front so we won't ever see that tab. And likewise, the seam is here with the tab. We just won't see it when the box is all constructed. So it's kind of a minor detail in many ways, but you know, details matter. So what you want to do when you glue this on, you want to make sure it's all aligned at this bottom edge and it doesn't come over that fold. You want it to be really square on there. And then we're going to line this one up the same way. And that maintains our nice square when it's folded up. And there we go. So then you have all the decorative elements. And I have gone ahead and prepped most of them to save time on this video. So what you need is 6 pieces of designer series paper cut 2.5 inches square. This paper is from Ornate Garden, and I'm going to be showing this in more detail in my pre-order unboxing video that's coming up a little bit later today. And then you need 6 of another pattern. I suppose it could be the same pattern, but another pattern. Cut it 2.25 inches square and matted on 2.5 inch squares. So I've got 6 of those. And I've got a couple of sentiments and mats. I haven't matted them up yet. And I did not use so out of the ornate style, again, I'll get into this a little bit in my other video, but it's all thank you type things, and I wanted to do birthday. So I chose Happy Birthday out of Magnolia Blooms, because I liked its size and its font. And then You Are Simply Wonderful is out of Bloom and Grow. Bloom and Grow is carrying over. Magnolia Blooms is in the beginner brochure that's retiring at the beginning of June. But because it coordinates so well with the rest of the Magnolia Lanes, stamps that are continuing, I'll probably hold on to that one. I usually sell my retired product pretty quickly, but I think this I'm going to hold on to. And I have, there's the other one. Okay, so I am going to start putting some of these on. It's all squares, so just kind of looking to see which ones I want where. These are the two that are going to be uncovered. They're not going to have any other decoration on them. Just why I'm taking a moment to make sure they aren't too matchy-matchy and they aren't sorry. What am I saying? That they aren't too matchy-matchy, and what else was I going to say about them? Oh, like this one's got one big, that one I don't mind if that gets covered up a little bit with a flower. Sorry, I can't talk apparently. All of a sudden, as I concentrate here. Okay. I hope you guys are still able to see everything. My feed looks like it's working well. Put this one up here. Okay. Whoops, this one moved on me. Shoot. See if we get that going here. Don't you hate it when that happens? Okay. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so let's get a few more things on there. So the Ornate Garden Suite has some very ornate dies, which is one reason I kind of held off on buying it. It was available for pre-order. It was an early release, and I held off for a while. And I think what I've decided is, for me, I'm going to be using, I love the paper. Come back and see me at noon and I will show you all the paper. I just love it. And I think what I've decided is that the very ornate dies work well with simpler layouts. And then when I've got more busy things going on, I'm going to use simpler shapes. So in fact, this long stitched rectangle is part of the ornate dies, and I like it because it's a size we didn't have in our regular stitched rectangles. And then it's got an ornate frame that goes around it that's got lots of curlicues and everything, and that just was too much, so I just measured and cut out a simple mat for it. Okay, so here comes the trickiest part in many ways. I showed you on this one how this inside sentiment sticks out, and so we're going to work on that now. And what you do is you take 2 strips. For the small sentiments on my other cards, I just use that little modern, is it the Modern Label Punch? Classic Label Punch. I just used this and folded it in half. But because this is a bigger one, I used these strips. They're about half an inch, almost 3/4 of an inch. They're just an offcut I had in my scraps, about 2 inches long, and you fold them in half. And this is where we do use the tear and tape. Yes, this is it looks complicated, but it is really very doable. So now I'm just putting some tear and tape on each side of this folded strip. There we go. And then you want them to go like this to be able to pop that message out. We're going to start by putting them in here, and it's going to be hard for you to see as I do it because I have to be able to see, but I will hold it up to show you. But you're going to put this fold right at the seam between the boxes. And you want it to be kind of centered top to bottom. And you're just pulling the backing off the back one. Leave it on the front for now. There we go. Then you can see where that is. And now we're going to do the same thing on this side. If I can get the tape off. Okay, so the trickiest part is then you pull the backing tape off those pieces. And that is truly blind right now. And then it's a matter of getting this piece straight and hopefully even, and pushing it down. And there it is. Pretty cool, huh? So now we start adding these pieces. And I like to keep this one pretty neutral, you know, still patterned, but neutral, and often I have it sort of blend in with the background piece. But we're just going to slide that in, and we wind up covering up that tab. If you're worried about it showing, you can make, you know, the folded piece, the hinge for the sentiment, you can make it the same color as your card base, and then it really won't show, but it doesn't show. Put this in there. Again, I'm just looking to get it straight. It's stuck down. Now we're going to put them on the bottom part of those. And I did my sentiments, I stamped them in Versamark, and then I embossed them with gold embossing powder to match up with, I'm hoping you can see how shiny and pretty that gold pattern is. And then our last two, you could make these 5 1/4 inches so that they cover the entire inside, but really when the card's on display you don't see all the way down to the bottom, so you don't have to. Then I did a few of these flowers to put on some of the panels. I'm just going to do some dots of glue. And one more up here. So these daisies are out of Daisy Lane, which is carrying over, and I punched them with the medium daisy punch, and I think they coordinate really nicely with this set. And here's Daisy Lane, and here's Ornate Style, and you can see it's got, well, it's got some daisies in there, but it's got this nice daisy too, so they work nicely together, I think. And then I thought it would be fun to do just a touch more gold. I'm going to put some of these in the centers. They are not too bulky to get in the way of it folding up, and fitting in the envelope. But they're nice and bright metallic to go with the other gold elements there. Now, let's see and make sure that you guys can get a good look at this. There will be pictures on my blog post tomorrow. I just think that makes a really nice presentation for somebody, and it just folds right up to go in a 6-inch square envelope. So that is 1, 2, 3. Are the flowers part of the Ornate Garden set? I think I answered that when I showed you the sets. So this set is, was it Outdoor Barbecue? And it is retiring also at the beginning of June. I think it's a great card for anyone who, a great set for anyone who likes to barbecue. I like this. Holy smokes, it's your birthday. And then Glenn just couldn't stop laughing. Love is in the air. Oh wait, it's barbecue. So the flower centers also are not part of the suite. There are a bunch of other gold embellishments that we have. These are retiring also. So another reason for me to go ahead and use some. I think I really like how those came out on there. Anyway, I'm very, very happy with all these. Oh, I know, one other element I didn't put on there. This isn't on the original posters thing, but I like to have a blank spot to write on. So I cut this. This is what, 5 1/4 by 2 1/2. And I just go ahead and you could just write, if your background is light enough like this is, you could just write directly on there, but I like having an actual panel. So there we go. Yeah, so that's the card. How cool is that? And I will be back here in just under an hour to do my unboxing of my pre-order. I hope you'll come back and join me because I've got some fun things to show you from there, and I will show you more of this Ornate Garden suite since it's also from the new catalog. I will see you then. If you would like a catalog and you don't have a demonstrator here in Australia already, drop me a note in the comments or send me an email at nhetker@mac.com. If you need to order anything, if you want to get anything that's retiring before it's gone, here's where to do it. If you're ordering under $250, please use my host code and I will send you a gift. In the meantime, I will see you back here in 1 week, or if you can join me at noon Melbourne time, just under an hour from now, I will do my unboxing. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.